Welcome. Today we're going to set up a production studio for a composer in Italy. We've come to Torino. This room has a few limitations that we have to consider, right? There's always a compromise. Acoustic treatment itself is a game of compromise. The sound energy does not want to be contained in a space that you've decided. So we're going to measure each time. We're going to start with the front vertical corners of the room. So we'll put in these bass traps in the front vertical corners, then we'll measure again. Then we'll show you the difference that has made. Then we'll choose our next location. Then we'll show you the difference that makes. Then we'll choose our next location. Then we'll show you the difference that makes. So by the end of this video, you will understand a lot more thoroughly what outcomes to expect from whichever solution you implement. Come with me, I'm going to show you the Eisenwagen. Today, we're going to use a heavy screw hook in the wall, a much heavier chain, and then again, we can only put the smaller screw hook in the absorber, because otherwise we can split the wood if we make it too big. Top tip, pre-drill the hole that you're going to screw into. We have 48 absorbers. You're going to see how quickly they disappear into the space. In this case, we can't even use the ceiling corners, this is like the magic trick, right? You say 1 absorber per meter square of the room, 1.5, 1.7, 2 per meter square. How are we going to fit those in? The magic is all the ceiling corners, right? It's amazing how they can actually disappear. If you think of a shoebox room, a cuboid room, and you think about surfaces, you've got 6 surfaces, right? That gives you 8 trihedral corners and 12 dihedral corners. That's a lot of places to put bass traps. Anyway, as we said, we can't use the ceiling, so this will be really fun to show you how quickly we can make 48 bass traps disappear in this room. So now I'm just checking the 2 center points that we started with, right? One is dependent on the wall that's inside, and one is dependent on the window a little further back. So it's a question which is the actual center point of the room. So I'm checking by looking at the comparative SPL reading. I was just thinking, the peaks and nulls of the room should be the same, logically, apart from that which is caused by interference of that wall. And then what I'm seeing is everything aligns apart from the ones that I want to find. Cool, huh? We have 48 units. We started with the front towers, the 2 towers. Then you will see what impact that has on the reading. Then I will go for a side position, because that will show you a different dimension also. Then on the sides, we're only going to go for 3 high. The reason is there's a window on this side, so it's a lot more complicated than just installing just into the wall. A lot more complicated. It's a bit more complicated. On this side, yeah. So anyway, the side positions are primarily for early reflection function, meaning it is actually for in his listening position. His ears are not up there on the ceiling. Then we will go with the front, another 2 towers. We will on the front, we will go 5 tall each. Reason being, we can't put anything on the ceiling cloud here, so we are losing an opportunity of absorbent surface in the localized listening position. So yeah, it's just little ways to put it all together. It's a holistic system in any case. After that, we're going to put them in the back of the room in the first reflection point. This is an absolutely essential position to treat, in my opinion. I mean, again, this is the lowest frequency of the room. Think of frequency as distance. It's the longest distance in the room. This is the hardest to treat frequency in the room. Think of it like that. However, beyond that, I don't want to calculate too much in advance. It's a nice puzzle like this. We can treat it as a logic puzzle and just do this part. Okay, this is showing us that will be the next most impactful thing to do. Once we measure a few times in a few positions, we will see which areas still need addressed more than others. You never get perfection. You just get as much as you can get. What I find always quite funny is when people reach out and try to ask us, what if I put this one in this position or in this one in this position? And it's like, Yeah, what if? Why don't you try it and see? Like, if you don't understand the thing that it's going to do, it's really hard to give you an answer when really the answer is yes and yes for both, because both are locations you should treat, right? Because you should treat as many locations as you can. If you optimize your acoustic treatment, you can't over-treat it. But let's say you do want to take it as far as you can within your means, or let's say you want to be sure that you get the most out of what you can afford. You can bring us in for our very affordable, innovative DIY installation guidance service on site. Okay, so let's see what these 2 towers, these 10 absorbers have done. We're looking at these resonances at the front. All right, I'll just leave this point here so you can watch this resonance. Look at that one. Diminished quite somewhat indeed. So that's only the front 2 towers, right? And that's the impact that you can expect from it. Now, are all of the problems resolved? Absolutely not. But you do have a very generous impact for the first things that you do in the room. Did I add 2 bass traps? No, I added 10. That's why we go from this unworkable mess to this. I mean, you will make music in half the time. If you're critically working with the music, you will make it in half the time in this environment. We're going to keep continuing with this until you can make music very accurately, monitoring in a third or a quarter of the time, maybe even less. That's the thing. Supreme listening confidence, guaranteed. Now, I would like to, for the sake of aesthetics as well as acoustics, go hard against here for the next position. Here we have 20 centimeters absorber, 10 centimeters air gap. It's not a rigid backing. So you go, the sound wave comes in, absorbs, reflects, goes back, absorbs again. We're gaining absorber space from the air gap. Think of it like that. We now have a 30 centimeter absorber. We could go further out. We could go 20 and 20. But I don't want to take up more space in the room. I think this is a bit of a sweet spot, going with half of the depth of the absorber itself. What I want to ask you is as a question of function. I want to go 3 high, because on this side we have the window and it will make our lives a bit of a pain in the ass and we won't get so much from it that makes it worth it. Okay, so I got a little bit too excited and I want to see what impact the sides already have on the graph. So I've mocked them up. The thing is, these bass traps are built with so much structural integrity, it's absolutely overkill. You can just build them up. You can mock it up. So again, you don't have to worry about, what if I install this here? What if I install that there? What if you don't install it? What if you put things up, test them, and just move it around? They're literally like Lego. So here we had the 2 towers before, 5 on 5. We've now added 3 on each of these side positions. So we went from 10 absorbers in the room to 16, and specifically positioned now on a more early reflection position, even though the bottom one also represents a dihedral corner. That's floor to wall there. A lot of people don't think about that position. It's a very low hanging fruit with a lot of impact. Do you want to see? I'll show you. Before, after. Again, it's hard to look at everything at once, so let's focus on something. Look at these resonances here down to here. So on each stage, we have impact, and we want to impact different dimensions, holistically, synergistically, trying to get as much as we can. That's the name of the game. Next, we're going to go for the back of the room. Okay, let's check out our 35-meter room with no bass traps, right? 40 to 500 hertz. 10 bass traps. Let's go right down here now to 16 bass traps. Then 26 bass traps. This is showing you 40 to 500. Let's just prove something really quickly. Change that frequency limit to 10,000. Boom. Now look. The resonances that you solve here are not reverberating up here. Let's go through it. Empty. Horse shit. 10 traps. Much better. Look at that. 16. Hell yeah. 26. And we're going to keep going until we deploy 48 of those. I misspoke, it's not 26, it's 34. So when I'm saying 26, I just confuse myself because there's 26 on this side. That's what I was saying, but then there's 8 there. Dun, 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 dun. One more time. Empty, full spectrum, horrible, to the current state with 34 traps. Boom. And we're going to go further. Again, if you want absolute perfection, you need to cover all corners and all reflective surfaces. Now, here is the localized sweet spot, you know, the controlled area of the room, so to speak. When it comes to low frequencies, you treat the whole space. So just to bear that in mind. Now, something interesting, a wild metallic ringing has appeared.
Who's that Pokemon? It's...
Listen. 2 things. Number 1, anything can solve that. The problem is, like, we have this. We have a metal floor. There's 0 coefficient to that metal floor. It cannot absorb. It's very reflective, and so is the ceiling. Now, one point is anything can stop that, and when dealing with that kind of problem, you actually want to sparsely place things. Not that they're symmetrical; it's actually asymmetrical. So you want, because anything can do it, and because just putting pictures up, just putting furniture in the room, just sorting that out will already solve it. It doesn't need symmetry. I would go with the opposite. Then you cover more surface area. Reflective and absorptive space. I'll give you an example. Before. After. Second point, it can really well be that we already had this occurring in the room, but we couldn't hear it. Because of frequency masking, it was being masked. Let's put it like this. You don't hear individual frequencies. You hear frequencies in bands. And these bands of frequencies, if one artifact, if one signal, if one sound source in the room is louder than another one of the same frequency content, you won't hear the quieter one. That's frequency masking. That seems to me to be what was happening, because before we did this treatment here, you couldn't hear that. It was not happening. After we started treating with heavy-duty brush strokes, this becomes apparent. So yeah, just know what it is. This is not something to panic about. What we might also do here is just put a carpet around the listening position. Remember, your music doesn't consist of hand claps anyway, so that's something to be aware of. This is an impulse. Solution 1, carpet. Solution 2, absorbent materials. It doesn't have to be porous material. It can be a bag of water like a human. It could be that you just have pictures randomly on the wall. This will break up the hard reflective surfaces enough to prevent that metallic ringing. Quite amusing This room before sounded quite nice. Just to speak in, it was comfortable. It was full of acoustic treatment. Now it's not. However, now this room that previously sounded terrible to speak in is quite comfortable. Pro tip, do not build a vocal booth. Vocal booths are designed for recording scratch vocals for bands. With the vocals, the instrumentalists give their performance, and then those vocals actually get replaced. The reason it's in a booth is so it doesn't bleed into the other things. The vocals then get replaced usually in the control room, because the control room is the best treated part of a traditional recording studio. If you build a vocal booth and you think you're going to use that for recording your vocals, because of how close together the walls are, you're going to end up with quite high frequency resonances, and I mean the fundamental resonances, that are going to color the tone of your vocals. We're talking like resonances at like 300, 400 hertz. These are essential frequencies for a rich vocal take. What you should do instead of building a vocal booth is treat your room properly, sing into an absorber. Hey, what's wrong with you? Because you're looking kinda down to me. Things ain't getting over. Listen to what I say. Got to turn around. So if you position your microphone, let's say here, and you're just singing into the absorber, and you have absorbers around you, this is going to capture the reflections that arrive later than the direct sound, making them much quieter. That's the point of absorption. That's how to record pro vocals in your home studio without breaking the bank. This is amplitude, this is frequency. This is the full spectrum. So this is time on this dimension. This is before, and this shows you the window where it cuts. So this is 300 milliseconds. This is not workable. You can't make music like this. Then we have after. Boom.
Okay.
It's all workable. All this white in the bottom shows us that these have cut off before. And I'll show you the progress, how we did. So here's with 0, 10, 16, then we change the position of the 16 a little bit, then we have now up to 34, now we're at 45, we've got 3 more to go.
Excuse me, what's on the y-axis? What is?
Amplitude, so volume, volume, that's how loud it is. What you also notice is that we started at this volume much louder, so we've already got about 10 decibels reduction, which is half perceived volume.
Okay. Okay.
Will be a surgical listening area.
Everything in the mix came out.
Yeah, that's the problem. You start hearing things that you didn't hear before, and then like, I gotta go back in the studio.
Okay.
Excuse me, what about this opening here?
What can you do? This opening is a problem, but what can you do? The good thing is...
The same solution you suggested before for that opening, would it be helpful having another movable wall?
I would give 2 solutions. I would say a movable wall is great, so basically absorber on wheels, and when I say that, I don't mean like these office walls that are totally trash. I mean like a wall of bass traps, just put a skateboard under it. First of all, I put a couple of absorbers in this room just because that space was also resonating, and here I could hear it when I was just going la 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 la, and I was like, So although that is quieter, because here the volume is coming down, you can start to hear other things as well. My solution is I put a couple of traps because it's like the first things you do have the most impact, but rather I would just put things in the room that there's more absorbent, right? Even we are absorbers, we're bags of water, right? So if you have a few people off the street, hide the bodies, that's absorber. In here, the same thing would be good if you do this kind of wall, but then it would still be necessary because you can hear the reverberation of the space. As soon as the sound gets directionally in there, it's even amplified because this is like a guitar drum. This is ringing out. This is resonating on a lot of frequencies. This is reverb. This is when you play guitar, an acoustic guitar, that drum, that amplifies the volume. This is an amplifier. This is an acoustic amplifier, an analog amplifier.
But if we will treat also this room,
Then you don't have that problem.
yeah. See, this is the
Clearly. Yeah, and you'll also find
Caratteristiche
Sì, sì,
comunque
sì,
anche
sì,
sono-
you should also work at your own pace. You know, you will find that by working in here, you're aware of this, but it's not disturbing you, right?
No, no.
And then when you treat this, then you're just in luxury territory because you already like, you know, this is good, huh, woohoo, everywhere's good.
And excuse me, inside there is wood. No, I mean rock.
No. We don't use rock wool or glass wool, any mineral wool. We used to. It's great for engineering because you can determine the depth and density. It's amazing for bass control, but we don't use it because we're really health focused and we use recycled wood chips actually because
Recycled wood
wood
chips.
chips.
I see.
Yeah, I forgot what Italian for wood is. You taught me earlier and I wanted to remember.
abete.
Huh?
The wood, abete.
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 Okay.
Like pine,
Yeah,
similar to pine.
it's similar to pine. It is pine. It's
Yeah.
pine. So it's made of pine.
This is pine.
I think it might also be Fichte, which I forgot.
Fichte.
Yeah, another one.
Fichte e l'abete.
Anyway, tree surgery meeting after work. But this is, yeah, they're made of recycled wood because it's just much more healthy. It's also not even only about the clients, it's also about my factory, people working with it. Just the moral issue of making people work 6 to 8 hours in rock wool. I grew up in construction, I had to do it. I didn't like it. I don't want to ask people to do it. Okay. And also, when you sell tens of thousands of these things, I don't want to put rock wool all over the world. I want to put wood. It's nice.
Okay.
It's treated with something to make it not flammable. It's, you know, you could probably eat it. You shouldn't eat it. I've tried. In Italy, we can find something better to eat, but no, but really, like to test for a video, just being an idiot, I was like eating some on YouTube. Francesco, you're a composer. You have a new 35-meter studio, quite large. You bought a package of King Kong bass traps to treat it. You took the in-person guidance service that I come and help you along with it in Italy, right?
Yeah.
Are you happy with the result?
I honestly I think so because you can immediately listen to the difference just talking, no, and also we can start to think about the pleasure to see all these traps in a room that are very great and looks amazing. It looks just a music studio. Also, it's empty, but
Transforms the room.
yeah, of course. It's the sound is completely different. We see also on the charts that everything is changed. So yeah, I think I'm very happy. Yeah.
Nice to hear. I mean, we saw the results. We didn't yet get to listen to music here, which is disappointing. We have to run. But you've seen the measurement data.
Yeah.
Were you surprised by that?
Yeah. I've seen some videos about this on your website, but looking in your room, it's something completely different, of course. And I think it's very, very important also to have your ability here because okay, you can treat as room as you want because this panel are very easy to use in some way, but of course your expertise, it's very important to treat a room, especially for this large condition, and we have a lot of things that we have
Irregularities.
we fixed a lot of things, and so yeah, I'm really happy.
Did I solve your problems?
Yeah, because of course at the beginning the room was absolutely like a church, and the reverb was unbelievable. So yes, I think that we fixed all the primary problem of the room. Of course.
Was the experience educational?
Yeah, sure, you're sure because okay, as everyone we know something about the audio and because we are working with audio, but I think it's very important to know better what is what your room is sound and what are the different condition in a room treating or not, and so it's something that you can learn a lot, and also for placement of many things and use it as after during the work.
Yeah. Would you work with us again?
I think so. There is a lot of more space that we have to do, and so yeah, of course.
Nice.
So thank you very
Thank you, dude.
Thank you.
Well, that was such a nice experience. A nice Italian food to top it off. A heartwarming experience. Anyway, we absolutely love Italy. We love Italians. They're such humanistic and pure intentioned people, apart from the mafia. And I love to work for composers. I'm well versed in the theory of instruments. I'm a musician, songwriter, producer myself. I got a bit lost at dinner last night down a rabbit hole, the intersection between music production theory and astrophysics. Maybe we'll make a video about that sometime. Stay tuned.